Hello, everybody, and welcome to Pro Tour Talk with Steve Dodge. I'm Steve Dodge. Today is May 23rd, 2018, and we've got some special guests with us today. We're going to be talking to Paul McBeth, and we'll be talking with Dixon Jowers after that. Hold on one second. Why can't I find that? So the sun went away about a minute before, so we have quite a bit of shadow here. My apologies for that. But hey, there it is. So now we get a little bit. But so later in the show, we're going to have Paul McBeth. We're going to talk about married life. We'll talk about golf courses with disc golf tournaments on them. We'll talk about this golf course in specifically. And then we'll bring Dixon Jowers on. We'll have a nice rules conversation, as well as doing our two against the field, which was a fan favorite. And we're going to bring back, at least for this event. And if we remember, we'll do it for Utah as well. So running through Pro Tour news real quick. And just so everybody knows, at 6 o'clock, we're going to talk with Sean Jack. We're going to pick names out of hats, and we're going to set the tee times for the San Francisco Open. So stay tuned for right after the podcast ends. We'll just go right into that. News of the week for the Pro Tour. Zach Podhorzer put together a really nice article called Drive for Show, Putt for Dough. And he went through the women's side and he went through the men's side. And it's interesting. On the women's side, as we would expect, Paige Pierce is leading everybody in all the driving statistics. And then on the other side, though, on the putting side, she is not leading. And in fact, Lisa Fakis is doing better than her in both scramble and in circle one putting percentage, but not by enough to make up for Paige's driving dominance. So the drive for show, putt for dough doesn't quite work out on the women's side. Check that article out. Very nice job by Zach Podhorzer. It was a genuinely fun read. On the men's side, it's quite a bit different. Basically, if you want to succeed on the men's side, drive for show, putt for dough, what it really boils down to, according to Zach's analysis, is you need to do well in every category, but you need to excel and be above the field in one or two categories. And that's the way you succeed on the men's side. When we look at these numbers, he's got it broken down, the top 10 Pro Tour season statistics. He's got all the categories there. He's got the 10 names that you know, and you're able to look at a nice little bar chart and see who's doing well in everything. And the way you succeed on the men's side, be really good at everything and then take one thing and just nail it. Get those couple extra strokes on those things and make it count. So another little bit of news that we released this week, released our tee time policy. At all Pro Tour events going forward for this season, everybody would be divided up into quartiles, meaning the top 25% by PDGA rating would be put in bucket 1, the next 25% bucket 2, then next 25, next 25. And you pick one name from each bucket, and that'll be a tee time. And so all of the tee times, with the exception of the feature cards, all of the tee times will be random. We also took into account the concept of feature cards having an advantage if they always go off in the afternoon. So the feature cards actually go off at 10, noon, and 2. And again, stay tuned right after this podcast. We will do the San Francisco Open tee time show. It should start at 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. So if you want to check out the tee time policy, it is up there. One thing I'm noticing on our posts, we're getting a lot more comments, which is really fun. So if you have any questions for us about the article or about a policy or about what it is that we're trying to do, just make a comment there. We reply to all the comments on our page, and you can be part of the conversation. And some people make comments, and it impacts the way we think about stuff. Like the guy that wrote the article about the women, the guy who had a son who wanted to play gymnastics. That let us think about that topic a little bit deeper. So please give us your feedback and let us know what you think. Another piece of news that we did in our blog posts this week: 2018 San Francisco Open, a classic in the making. As everybody knows, this is the first year for the San Francisco Open. Sean Jack and crew have done an amazing job out here. Last week we had the Masters Cup, a perennial favorite, and this week we have a brand new event with many, if not basically the exact same fields. And this tournament is going to be played completely on a golf course that's been converted for disc golf. Last weekend we had a classic course de la Viega, and then a golf course. So 2 events, about an hour apart, both big, both premier events. It's going to be really fun to see how San Francisco responds to having a tournament in their backyard for the first time. I should say a premier tournament in their backyard for the first time. If you're anywhere near the area, please come on out and watch these guys. This course is built for spectators. A lot of beautiful elevation. You can stand up top and watch these guys throw down huge hills. I think hole 9 comes in around 600-700 feet, and these guys are going to get it inside circle 2, and that's just a beautiful drive to watch. And I'll finish it off with the women's coverage. So we're doing a couple extra things here, as everybody already knows, on the women's side. The first thing that we're doing is we're going to be doing edited shot-by-shot coverage of the women to start the live broadcast. So from 4 to 5 Eastern, from 4 to 5 Eastern, we will show the women edited shot-by-shot, and we'll have live commentary over top of that. And then starting at 5, we'll go on with our live broadcast. So if you want to start watching disc golf this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, starts an hour earlier at 4 o'clock, and you get to watch the women play. Literally same day edited shot-by-shot coverage. The other thing that we're doing is we're getting some volunteers here, and we're asking them to film all of the women's cards. And the goal with that footage is to create a highlight reel that we'll release next week or the week after, and basically showcase all of the women playing disc golf here and show at least one good shot from everybody, and put together a really exciting video so that women who don't currently play the game or play on a very recreational level can watch other women succeeding and get excited about playing the game. So those are the 2 special things we're doing. We put out a call for help, and as far as I know, I think we're full up. But if you're interested in helping out, please email Sean at dgpt.com, SEAN, or Danielle at dgpt.com if you want to help specifically for the women. But we can always use more help, and we look forward to seeing you out here. And with that, coming up after the break, we're going to bring in Paul McBeth, and we will talk to Paul about life in the Paul lane. All right, Paul, are you ready to step in? Life in the Paul lane.
Paul lane. Yeah, it's a Paul lane.
It's a Paul lane. All right.
Are we on video?
We are on video.
Okay.
There we are.
I gotta scoop.
So we're in shadow, so you can't tell how much more attractive I am. Maybe you can.
I can tell.
Oh, yeah. Let me move back so we look like we're the same size. All right. Hey there, everybody. I'm very glad to be joined by Paul McBeth. Hello, Paul.
Hi, Steve.
Great to see you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. I've got a couple quick questions that we can go through, and then we can just freelance if you'd like.
All right, sounds good.
I'd like to start off. Congratulations on getting married.
Thank you. Thank you.
Did you get married at Maple Hill?
No, we got engaged at Maple Hill.
Got engaged at Maple Hill.
Got
Okay.
engaged at Maple Hill. That's where we first met, and that's where we got engaged. And then we actually got married in Virginia.
Oh, nice. And you're living in Virginia now?
Yes.
Okay. So you met Hannah at Maple Hill.
Yes.
Was it during Vibram?
Yeah, it was actually, we met there. We kind of just randomly met because she made a joke actually to Paige. Her and Paige were friends. I guess they kind of knew each other, and she made a joke to Paige about my trailer because it was parked at the course, and she just made a joke towards Paige, and then as Paige was following the lead card of men in that awful weather, she made Hannah tell me the joke. So
Okay.
So that's how we first met.
Are we going to make you tell us the joke?
It was kind of just about the trailer, and she asked Paige, why don't you have a trailer?
Oh, okay.
And Paige is like, yeah, right. You know how much he pays for gas in that thing? And Hannah responded back with, Paige, you can't put a price on swag. You know?
That's right.
You can't put a price on swagger. So Paige made her tell me that in person.
And now Paige has a van.
Now Paige has a van.
Yeah,
I mean,
she's
pretty
trying.
close. She's getting up. She's going up the ranks.
Trying the swag. And that was a big, beautiful black trailer, or brown trailer, RV, right?
It was black and light gray, and then it had bright colored pictures on it.
So it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Where is that now?
I actually sold it. Discmania. Discmania doesn't own it. It's wrapped in Discmania,
Okay.
but someone else owns it. I'll spot it.
And so is it traveling around the country?
Yeah, they're actually doing the title and registration right now as we speak. He's at the DMV.
Congratulations on selling it. That'll help
Thank
pay
you.
for a house.
Yep, definitely helps toward the house.
My sister and brother-in-law actually sold their house and bought an RV, and then when they were all done, they sold the RV and bought a house.
Yeah, it's nice. You know, maybe one day Hannah and I will do that again, go on the RV and just travel with our dog.
Absolutely. And maybe you'll have a kid and have it on tour, and maybe you'll win the USDGC.
That sounds like a familiar story.
It does indeed. So speaking of ridiculous stories, do you have any funny stories from the tour that you want to share with us?
From the tour? Well, you asked me this question earlier.
Yeah.
And it kind of made me think back to quite a few years. And the one that popped in my head was, I think it was 2011. It was my first year in Europe. And we kind of went as a big group, a few Americans. I think there was 9 total Americans that traveled together. And we were kind of just, we wanted to make it, you know, kind of cheap, as cheap as possible.
Of course,
because a lot of us were young.
It's expensive to travel.
Yeah, and so we, as a group of 9, rented 2 vehicles, and I was shoved in the back seat with Paige, and I think Eric was driving, and I think it was Ulibari who else was with us, and then maybe one more person.
Okay.
But one
were
car
there
had
3
5,
of
one
you
had
in the
4.
back seat or 2?
We might only had 2 in ours.
Okay. Okay.
But I remember just falling asleep because it was like 2 in the morning and waking up, and all of a sudden I just like, man, we're flying. I look at the speedometer and it says like 260 kilometers.
Okay, that's still.
It's like 140 miles per hour.
That's pretty damn fast.
And apparently we're on the Autobahn at the
Oh,
time.
okay.
So we were in a fully loaded sedan just going 140 down the highway at 2 in the morning. And I just remember waking up and just like, what is going on?
Eric's driving?
Eric's driving, yep.
Wow.
So that,
do you know what kind of car that was?
it was a diesel Volkswagen wagon. Like it was a wagon. I don't know. But it was a sight to wake up to.
I've driven a little over 100 once in my life, and I was scared out of my wits.
Yeah, that was the first time I'd ever been over 100. So.
that's pretty good. Well, you were over 100 while you were sleeping. You just didn't know it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Didn't know. 140.
That actually reminds me, I'm going to share a funny story. Nobody cares about my funny story, so maybe we'll just cut it out. But I'll share my funny story. I was driving with my friend home from college. We had about a 5-hour drive to Pittsburgh from Virginia. And his mom was sleeping in the back seat. Jay's driving. His mom's in the back seat. And his mom wakes up and says, "Where are we?" We tell her. And she looks at her watch and says, "Wow, we're making great time." And then without skipping a beat, she looks and says, "Jay, you're driving too fast. Slow down." The two were unrelated in her mind. It was very entertaining. We just laughed at her. I don't know if he slowed down or not. So transitioning to disc golf talk. You had a fantastic last round at Masters. Was that the hot round at Masters Cup, the final day?
Tied for the hot round, yeah.
Okay. With who?
Austin Turner.
Nice. Yep. Okay, good company. And it righty and lefty. That's really nice.
Yep.
So you had a great finishing round at the Masters Cup and somehow pulled yourself into 3rd place. I think you jumped 20 spots or 15 spots. It was
at least 16. Spots. I think it was 16.
Okay, you think it was 16. That's a very specific number.
I think I was 19th to start the round.
Yeah. So you jumped up to 3rd, right where everybody going into the tournament. We all expect you to be on the podium. We don't know what position, but we expect you to be there. And somehow you managed to do it. Like going into the 3rd round, I think people would not have bet on you being on in the podium. You're passing 16 players who are in the top 20 at an NT. That's crazy. Especially being that high up. If you're in 100th, maybe you could do it. Yeah. But starting in the top 20 and getting all the way up there. So what happened? How do you do so well in that one round?
I mean, with those 2 courses, it's like De La, the disc golf course. If you're a little bit off, you're way off, because now you're hitting the metal and you're, barely missing and it's going down the hill, or you're barely catching a tree and it's taking off down the hills. To where if you're way off, you're missing the basket and you're stopping. You're missing the trees completely.
At the golf course, you mean?
At the disc golf course.
At the disc golf.
Yeah. So if you're barely off, you're hitting stuff and taking off. But if you're way off, you're clear of all the, you're clear of the basket, you're clear of the trees down the fairway. You're kind of sneaking through. So it's one of those things, like I was just barely off, so I was getting, more rolls, more this, more that. And then when I got to the golf course, had a little bit more room to work with, and just able to convert my shots. And then I made a lot of putts outside the circle on the golf course, so that really contributed to a lot of the birdies. Wasn't really making those at the disc golf course, But at the golf course, I was converting them, and I had 2 bogeys, and they were just kind of the same thing. I'd just miss a putt from distance,
Right.
miss the comebacker, and then tap in bogey. So, I got the birdies and I got the bogeys. So it went both ways
At De La,
at the golf course.
at the golf course.
Yeah.
But the golf course, you played super hot.
Yes, but I had a few bogeys.
You
And
did.
I was just making a lot of putts. Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah. So
I didn't look at the stats. I just saw a very low number.
yeah, some putting issues. So I had the opportunities to make up, enough to catch Rick or Josh, but you can't get them all. So.
Not that day.
Yeah.
But you come so close. And so on that day, your putt was just money.
Yeah, for the most part. From
With the exception
range,
of a roll away.
from distance, yeah. And then I think I missed like 3 putts in the last 4 holes from inside 40 feet, inside 40, but just outside the circle. So I had more opportunities, but yeah.
So how do you translate that where you have that one hot round, and it seems like it's either the first or the last round.
Mm-hmm.
How do you translate that and get 2 of those rounds? Because it feels like if you have 2 McBeast mode rounds, you're going to win, or you're going to be in a position to win.
Yeah. Well, for that tournament, like at De La, the disc golf course, if I was on, then my score could have been close to that 15, because I still had 8 birdies the first round, but 6 bogeys and a double will take those right away. So the first round I still got a lot of birdies, but too many bogeys in there. And then the second round was similar, just converted. I think I only had 2 more birdies, but just less bogeys. So just got to wipe away those bogeys.
So you improved in the second round.
Yeah, I got 2 more birdies and a fewer bogeys. What was that? 6 bogeys and a double bogey the first round, and then I guess only 4 bogeys the second round. So, there's still a lot of room for improvement, but that's really what the difference was from the previous years.
You have to have the same mindset and mental attitude going into every tournament at this point. And I shouldn't quite say it that way. Like, I'm going to guess if you played a B tier, it wouldn't get quite as amped for it. But all of your preparation, I assume you have, the hour before you tee off is the same at this point. Is that true?
I would like to say it's true, but it's not. It's different for, it's always changing. Just like the courses are always changing. Preparation's starting to change too. I wish I remember what my routine was from like 6 years ago and what it is now, just to see the difference. But it's so hard to maintain that. You start showing up, you have hour drive to the course, or you're staying close to where you don't want to get there earlier, or now you have 2 o'clock tee time every time. Well, 3 o'clock tee times now, like they're even an hour later. So you got to figure out what to do with your time during the day. So it's always changing.
That's really interesting.
But I want to get there an hour before at least.
Yeah, I did assume that if you're teeing off at 3, then you're at the course at 2, and that 50 minutes before you got to be on the tee or ready to, the 10 minute before, is, I would think, the same every time. I would think that's mapped out.
Well, normally, sometimes it can be, but I think the way that these courses and tournaments are trending, we don't have any practice areas anymore. We don't have practice areas anymore. We might get a net.
Oh, so sometimes you might have a field.
Yeah, sometimes you only have a field.
Sometimes
we have a net. Sometimes we have putting practice basket. Sometimes we don't. It's different from each event. So some you can actually properly warm up and go out in the field and throw and see how your discs fly. But Maple Hill, there's nowhere to warm up besides the net.
You can go into a field of Christmas trees across the street, but that's not fun.
So it's hard to try to figure out how your discs are, what your form's like, how your discs are flying. So it is a lot more difficult now than it was back when we would have shotgun starts, because everyone would have the course to throw.
Right. So that's really interesting. I didn't ask that question to prove something that I was doing wrong.
No, I think most tournaments are that way now. Even De La, there's no real warm-up field besides there, but they do have a park down the road, which I always forget about until.
That doesn't mean that's how they should be.
No, it's a park, and you have to hope it's empty.
Yeah. So, well, where I was going with that, and you weren't saying that I was doing something wrong, but the Pro Tour, we don't have any shotgun starts. We had one, and we said never again.
Yep.
And but we need to make a focus on. I know that we've done well with the practice baskets, like putting. You have an area now. You should have an area at all of the events.
This one will be tough. I see a basket right to the right.
Yeah,
it's on the hillside.
It is up there. I would think we can get a temp basket right here.
This would be a good spot.
So we'll have an area where you guys can putt. That's something that we do. And if we don't, let me know always. But a driving area, an area where you can watch your disc fly for 400 or 500 feet, that's not something we focus on yet. And I would say we need to make that a priority, because you absolutely should. You and everybody should be able to know what you're getting before you get there. As far as the course goes, I think you're getting there. And then as far as the warm-up goes, that's another thing we need to address.
Yeah, because, I mean, you can only throw into a net so many times. You know, if you throw into a net for 10 minutes, it feels like you've been out in the field for 30, 40 minutes. So
your arm is done.
Yep.
And you're or not done, but you're ready to go.
Yeah, and then you get this film on your disc, and then you don't get to see where it goes. So there's some advantages where you don't have to walk for it, walk to it, but there's also the disadvantage of not seeing it.
Right. I can see using a net to warm your arm up, but then 5 minutes are probably, I don't know how many throws you do, but before you are ready to tee off, you want to see that disc fly.
Yeah. I mean, just like golf, they have the driving range. They kind of just get to see how their ball's acting that day. And
so interesting. Did De La round 3, did they have a driving range?
Yes.
Okay. And it was available?
Yeah.
I don't think they have one here.
Well, we didn't have a driving range to throw on. It was hole 10.
Oh, okay. They gave you an area.
Yeah. So there's a wide area.
So thank you for pointing that out. And anything else, please let me know. We strive to improve all the time. I tend to focus a lot on the media. I try to remember that the players are the reason that we're all here. So if the players tell me there's anything that we need to work on, I make it a focus. So that was fantastic. But the thing that we didn't hit on, and maybe there's no answer, because if there was an answer, you'd probably do it. Is there something that you do mentally that says, I need to go all out this round? Beast mode needs to happen. Can you do that the first and third rounds of every event and just wipe up?
I'm sure there's a way to do it. I have to figure it out. But, the final days, it's a lot easier because it's all right there in front of you. Like it's all on the line. You're either back by a few or you're ahead, or it's already written out for you. But first round, you're just kind of like, well, I just got to play well. It's not a different mindset of I need to catch this person, I need to catch all these people, or I need to stay ahead of so-and-so. First round, you're just kind of like, I need to play well. That's all I want to do.
Do you have a number in your mind when you go out there first round?
Not normally. Like here, I have no clue. I don't even know what the par is yet. So it's kind of hard. 62. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to do that now, especially with a lot of these new venues. But somewhere like De La, if you shoot anywhere near 10 either round, like that's a great round. That was I think the hot round of the weekend. But it's funny because someone can shoot 10 under the first round, but then they're always around 14 to 16 going into the third round. So you kind of know, like, when you shoot 2 10s in a row, you're going to have a big lead.
Right.
But, I don't know. It always works out at that course where you just got to be around that 14 number to be somewhere towards the lead.
So moving on down my list of questions, this is the third golf course event in a row, as far as I know. GBO, Masters Cup, and now the San Francisco Open. Third golf course in a row that's been converted to disc golf. You've only played this a few times. Once so far.
This morning. Yep.
Okay. And once tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm going to go throw a few more holes after this.
Okay. I want to ask what holes those are and why. But before we get there, how does this stack up to those other courses, golf courses?
I don't know the true distance of this one, but it seems like the longest of all of them so far. Just the hills. The hills are a big factor here. And then the distance on the front, I noticed the front, I think it's 11. First 11 holes are just extremely long.
Yes, and then there's a par 3 stretch.
Yeah, towards the end.
16, 17.
Yeah, is all par 3s, and then 18's a really tough green for a par 4. Right. So it's long. It's a lot of fun. And it's surprisingly not open. Like the course is open, but you'll throw your shot and then you'll walk up the fairway and you're like, wow, there's a rope there and there's a rope there.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of OB.
There's a lot of OB out here. So they're not letting you really just unleash on them without control.
So I'll go ahead and say that Ricky said the exact same thing. It seems long. Yeah. I just read an article put out by Zach, and it says the course is 10,000 feet.
Okay.
Which is, I think, 1,000 feet shorter than GBO and probably a little longer than Masters Cup, I'm guessing. I don't know, actually.
Yeah, I don't know how far GBO is, but GBO is pretty flat.
That's right. Yeah. And it's funny because that last climb after 18 up to the clubhouse here it's brutal because you're done.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can feel the distance on your shots. Like, I mean, you could throw it really hard, and you're like, it's still right there. I just didn't go anywhere.
Exactly.
Because you don't always see the elevation, but by the time you get to your distance and look back, when you can see the bay, you know you've come some distance.
And it's pretty cool being able to see the bay.
Yep.
Yes, you have gone some distance. San Francisco is a beautiful venue, obviously, great city.
Yep.
Have you gone out and seen anything on the city?
Not yet. I just got into town this morning. I stayed down in Santa Cruz a few more days and just played at De La. I needed some more time there, but it's too expensive to come up here early.
It's not really a cheap city.
No, not at all. So I didn't feel like just with one course coming up here that early was a necessity. So I came up today and then played today.
Is Hannah here? I assume she's home with the dog.
She's actually up in Massachusetts with her family.
Oh, okay, good.
So she's visiting there. She's got the dog, and they're just talking about stuff because her family's actually going to be moving down to Virginia here soon.
Really?
From Massachusetts.
That's funny. My family's in the process of that as well.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like the thing to do right now.
If you like humidity.
It wasn't too bad. I will say it's not awful where we're at.
Okay. I think you're an hour and a half, 2 hours south of where we are, up in Fredericksburg.
Yeah, we're down in Lynchburg, so we're pretty central.
Yeah. So you mentioned you're going to go out and play a couple more holes out here. Which holes and why? 1 through 8.
Because when I got here this morning, it was raining.
Oh, okay.
It was that misty. So I just got out there, kind of got loose and threw some shots, kind of what I would do on a driving range, and just kind of learn where the holes were, and then 8 just ends up at the parking lot.
Okay, so just because the weather is probably going to be different during the tournament.
Yeah, so just get those in without that rain and all that going on. So kind of just relearn them, see what I really want to do on them, and then by the time I got to the back nine, it was completely overcast, but there was no more rain. So
you mentioned hole 18 has a really tricky green for a par 4.
Yeah.
I've tried to design a course or two. I got lucky with Maple Hill. That land makes it easy. Plus I had Tom and Dave helping me. Probably mitigating all of my errors. The 3 good ideas they kept. But that was an interesting sentence for me. It has a tricky green for a par 4.
Yeah.
On par 4s, is that rare to have a green that's so protected?
Yeah, I mean, usually when we have par 4s, it's more about the distance or the drive
or the placement of the drive, right?
This one, you kind of have to put some power on the drive because there's that OB ditch on the left, and then there's another string on the left still.
Right.
So you kind of want to get past that,
exactly.
And then you still have this green, which is 350 feet, I'd say, from where you want to be.
Yep.
Up a hill, you got the green right here, short of it, and then you got a bunker, long left, long right, short left, and then the backside is a kind of a hill with bushes. So it's kind of you got a small area to land.
It's a slow green, but the area that you're aiming at is pretty tiny.
Yeah. Okay. So
definitely smaller than Circle 1.
Yes. Yeah. So it's just you don't see stuff like that too often. And I know there's another hole with banners. I don't know what hole it is, but it's on the front 9. It's like a tight corridor. You got to throw it out, and then
6, I think, or 7.
Yeah, somewhere around there. And then you see the basket out there, and you see the walls. And usually when the walls are set up, you're like, okay, I can just kind of go by those and be safe. But when you get up there, there's 5 little bunkers.
Oh,
5
right.
little
Yes,
shots
exactly.
right by the basket, and you're just like, I thought I could just roll it in here safe or
right.
turn in here, but no, you can't go past that basket.
So you have to be short. Arguably, you have to be very aware of exactly where you want to put it.
Yep.
And so on that kind of a shot, and on 18, I assume, are you going for the pin on your second shot?
On 18 here?
On 18, yeah.
Most likely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, most likely. And I'll really only go for it if I feel like I can go past the basket.
Right.
With my shot, because I don't want to be short.
Because I mentioned it's slow green. You can pile it into that hill and be okay.
Yep.
But 6 is not like that.
No, 6 you have to either play it out way left, but you want to throw a roller because where the hole finishes, you want to be right, but that's where all the bunkers are.
Yes.
So somehow you have to keep it left, but it'll be hard to get that distance without a roller. But it's a very interesting hole. This course is one of the most difficult courses, I think, so far.
Excellent. I assume that's a positive.
Yes, yeah, in a great way, in a good way. Some are just difficult because they put a bunch of trees in the way.
Right.
This is difficult because you have to control your disc so well, especially near the greens. and off the tee as well. I mean, with the ropes on both sides of the green or on the fairways, you can't let them slip anywhere. You know.
It'll be interesting to see if it is wet and we get some extra skips, how people manage that.
Yep, and then with the sloping hills on a lot of these holes out there, it's pretty difficult.
So they have a foot golf course out here.
I saw that. Yep.
I've never played foot golf, but it seems like the ball, you'd kick it and it would just roll.
Yeah, I was talking to some guy earlier, and he said he just laughs at it because not only are all the hills that it takes off, but the wind will just push the ball. The wind will just take them down.
That's right. We're going to get 10 to 20 mile an hour winds out here.
Yeah, I mean, we're right between the bay and the ocean, so it's bound to just pick up sometime soon.
So do you want to make a prediction for yourself this weekend? You're coming off a crazy hot round. Are you going to start with a crazy hot round, and where are you going to end up?
Oh man, I think it all just depends on putting. It's hard to say. If I'm making the putts that I was the final round, I think it'll be a great weekend for me.
Okay.
But if I'm struggling with the putter, then it can be anywhere between first to 10th. I'll say that. Okay. Anywhere between first and 10th. I feel pretty confident with. But
so Terry famously won a bet about you to be in the top 10 every event. I think last year.
Yeah, last year.
Did you finish outside the top 10 once so far this year?
Yeah, once. Maybe twice actually.
Okay.
I know I have a 13th.
Okay.
But I think I have a 10th for sure.
And no more of those.
I think I'll just have those two.
No, I'm asking in the future this year. Any more?
I hope not.
Okay.
No, I don't like that. I like coming to compete, not coming to fight.
So I'm not a good golfer anymore. I used to be okay. And it was funny. I played GBO, and I've never been on the tee of the first hole and thought to myself, I have no chance of winning. That was a brand new experience for me. And I can't imagine you thinking to yourself, oh boy, I'm out of it. That's a horrible position to be in for someone who is as competitive as I suspect we both are.
Yeah, I think I would have to be, 15 strokes out of the lead to feel like I'm not in it.
Yeah.
I mean, even if I gave 15 strokes to Rick after the first round, hey, here's 15 strokes.
You can still
I still feel like I can come back.
Yeah.
With 3 rounds to go, 2 rounds to go.
So 3 holes into the tournament, we're going to be watching you, and you will have done a couple of putts. Will we know if you're on, or can you correct your putt during the round?
You'll probably know. Usually if it's wobbling, it's not good. If it's wobbling, it's not good. That just means it's not coming out of my hand clean and that stuff. So if the putt's coming out smooth or with a good tempo, then that means I'm feeling the putt. But if it's wobbling or just kind of looks like I don't have control over it, then that's not a good sign. So
that's really interesting. Earlier you mentioned throwing into a practice net, getting your discs slimy. I would think, is that what's causing the disc to wobble, or is it in your head more than your hand?
It could just be something as much as a release, just opening my hand, or just kind of getting the right rotations on it, or it's weird because I've never had this issue before, but now living on the East Coast, coming west, there's no humidity, so my hands are just so dry.
Oh, right.
So it's hard to get rotations on the disc. So who knows? Maybe I'll have to get a grippier putter or figure out something. But
okay.
Just when I come east to west for this little trip sometimes. But if I start getting the nerves and all that stuff going, then my hands start sweating, and then there's no issue. But right now, they're
that's
dry as can be. So
when the pressure's on, you can putt.
Yep. Yeah, more than likely.
That's a good way for it to be.
Yep. So.
I wish that was the end of our interview. That would be fantastic. And maybe it can be, but I do have one more question, and then you can ask anything of me, or we can just talk in general. But out here, 18, tough green, very, in my opinion, a nice finishing hole, because if it's within 1 or 2, we've got an opportunity there.
Yeah, that, and not only that, I mean, you have the bleachers set up there, and
exactly.
See the bay and see the hole coming in, so it's a good spot to sit.
I actually got goosebumps just thinking about how exciting that could be.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, you can set up some nice cameras on this roof and get a really good view.
What holes out here are going to be pivotal?
Pivotal as in like hard or big for who's going to win?
Who's going to win? The person that's going to win is going to make a statement on that hole and is going to say, I'm here to play and take it.
I don't know this course well enough, but I know one that gave me trouble was the big downhill hole pretty early, either 4 or 5. 5.
Yeah.
That one, I mean, the disc can go any direction off that hole. And then not only that, I mean, you still have the second shot or third shot.
And I think the wind is prevailing is going across that.
Yeah, it's not an easy win.
Right to left, I think.
When I played it was coming right at us.
Okay.
So that's one.
You
That'll be a
want
big
to throw
hole.
overstable.
I mean, overstable's the safest. I mean,
I'm just saying in the wind, generally, you want to throw overstable. You know.
yeah, thanks.
Okay, so hole 5's a tricky one.
Hole 5's a tough
Are you
one.
thinking birdie on that? Are you thinking
What
birdie
is
on
it, a 4 or 5?
It's a 4.
It really depends on the drive. I mean,
Okay.
if you're not at the bottom towards where it's flat, then you're not.
Don't look at it.
Yeah, you won't have
Okay.
to look at it. But actually, 8's a really good hole. You'll see who's playing golf.
All right.
You'll see who's playing golf. I don't think it's worth going over that little pond.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
That's the
got the
boomerang?
Little,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, for the new generation, it looks like a fidget spinner. So
Oh, it does. Two-thirds of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that one, I don't feel like it's worth going over.
Interesting. So are you going to play that, probably a 300-foot drive?
Probably 300-foot drive, and it seems like maybe three with the hill probably plays close to 400, but maybe only 360 distance.
Yeah.
So I'll probably play it short and then try to attack it. And then there's that OB rope the whole way on the right. So another tight green with rope.
Yeah, the landing area theoretically is just over that fidget spinner.
Yeah.
And then to the right.
Yeah.
And it's a tight landing area for a 380-foot shot.
Yep. If that rope on the right wasn't there, I would be going for it, putting it over there. But the
Of
OB
course.
on the rope, right, kind of is like, nah, it's not worth it for me.
So it was interesting. I was talking to Leonard Muse last night when we were out working on the course, and I said the only reason people are going to go for that landing zone is testosterone.
Yep.
Because
well, the women have a shorter pad, so I think they do, right?
uh,
There's two. I don't. It's hard to say. There's so many pads out here on this course.
there's 7. They have 7 shorter pads. So there's a lot of, and he put pads on all the drop zones.
Okay.
So
and then there's foot golf pads too.
There are some foot golf pads, yes. Although I don't know if they have pads. Do they have
They
pads?
did, yeah, because they had little foot golf signs and a turf pad next to it.
Okay, I saw. Oh, that little thin strip.
There's one on the big downhill hole, which is 5.
5, yeah.
Yeah.
So that one, we actually put that pad in yesterday. It wasn't there for the foot golf.
Okay,
That's a drop zone in case you go OB.
Okay.
Yeah. But they might have some foot golf turf pads out there too. But there's at least 18 plus 7 plus 4. That's a lot up to 29, 30 pads.
Yeah.
There's a lot out there. But I was talking to Leonard. Yeah. So, and I was saying I would expect if people think about this hole, they'll lay up, and you can be pretty aggressive because there's that wall there. You can get it really close to that wall.
Yep.
And they're the nice sturdy walls. You're not going to skip through it. And then if you go to the right to the center where the drop zone is, you have it's a 275-foot approach.
That looks like, but then the way that it's cut in, it's pretty risky to go to that spot.
Yes, it is. Yeah. So he's done a good job making you think about something.
Yep.
Yeah. So do you have any last questions for us or any last things you want to share?
Just watch. I think this will be a really fun tournament to watch. I think this course has a different challenge for a lot of us because I think there's going to be a lot of rollers, a lot of forehands, and a lot of the holes finished to the right.
Yes,
we don't have much of that, but there's you're gonna see so many people controlling the disc so well because the way that they're finishing to the right and their huge distance shots and stuff like that. There's going to be all sorts of shots here. So I think if you want to watch good disc golf and a lot of speed control and shot selection, this is the one to watch.
So I'm glad you said that because some people say it's a lot of forehands, and there's some, but to me it looked more like a controlled Annie.
Yeah, there's a mixture of both.
Okay.
Because there's down the hill, if you get a controlled Annie, you're gonna get more distance.
Right.
A forehand's gonna want to dump out, but up the hills, maybe that forehand's not gonna dive down like a backhand turnover would. So it's going to be by person, but there's a good mixture of both. And I heard a lot of people earlier, like I saw Eagle earlier, and he's just like, aren't you tired? I was like, no, I played earlier. Why? He's like, this course is so long. Like, he's just like, I'm hurting,
I think it's the hills.
Yeah, the hills.
It makes it feel
throwing so
longer.
hard on, backhand, so hard forehand. So,
yeah. So I'm done with these questions, and we can start wrapping up. But I did have a conversation with Drew Gibson maybe 3 weeks ago. It was the week after the GBO.
Okay.
And I only cared because I just played that, and I can throw about 280. And when the first holes, I don't know how long it was, 9,000 feet. So I had never experienced a course like that as a player.
Yeah.
And so it occurred to me, holy cow, we've set the bar really high for someone to become a touring pro.
Yeah.
You almost have to be able to throw 450 at least, and maybe 550 if you want to compete for the top spot. And my question to Drew was, should I be concerned about courses getting too long?
Too long? Like, is this considered long?
It seems pretty. 10,000 feet seems, that used to be the upper echelon, and GBO was 11, but it's flat. So these might play about the same.
Okay. I don't think they're too long. There's only one par 5.
Right.
I think, 2 par 5s is good for a disc golf course, and then maybe somewhere around 8 par 4s or somewhere in there. So I don't think it's necessarily the distance, because, I mean, if you have a lot of elevation, the hills are going to just add distance.
So I would say that, a 500-foot hole with a 30-foot elevation is the same as a 600-foot hole.
600, 700,
so
yeah.
Understanding that, my question is, are we emphasizing, like I have this concern about the women's tees.
Yeah.
I think the women's game emphasizes distance, especially compared to the men's game. Is the men's game starting to overemphasize distance?
I don't think so, because I don't think the men, a lot of them struggle with the distance.
So the variation in distance between men is not as great.
Yeah, I don't think it's the distance. I think it's throwing the disc 450 feet and having it finish right. Throwing 450 feet, knowing that it's going to finish left. I think it's controlling the distance at this point. I mean, there's so many young players that throw, I would say as far as I do, if not further, but that doesn't make them a better disc golfer.
Right.
Know? So I don't think distance is a problem with the men's side, or the open side, I should say. But it does seem like a big gap in the women's side. And I don't know why. It seems like there's a big gap in the distance.
It's really interesting, because you look at the men's side, and I'll say there's 30 or 40 touring men now, which is really exciting. We're getting to have a nice big number. And there's probably 5 or 6 guys that can throw significantly farther. You put in the upper echelon of distance. On the women's side, and that's maybe 10 to 15%. On the women's side, there's 5 or 6 or 7 touring women. 15% is 1 or 2. So realistically, it just looks like it, because you have the Paige Pierces and the Jen Allens, who can throw farther. And it seems like it's just 1 or 2 people, because it is, but it's the same percentage.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that the variation is as great as we think it is. But
yeah, if it's just going by percentage. Yeah. Because I mean, for me, I would see, I think someone that doesn't throw as far stands out more than someone that can throw far.
On the men's side.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
You could probably count on a hand people that you're like significantly think doesn't throw that far and needs to work on distance.
Who are those people?
I don't want to name them.
Joe Mela.
Well, I mean, if you go up in age, it's a little different.
Sure.
But like someone like Philo. Philo says he doesn't throw far, but Philo throws far.
He'll
say he doesn't throw far. And he'll be like, man, I need distance. It's like, oh, you're throwing it, you're throwing it well. You're throwing it plenty far. Like,
he's in the upper 400s at least, right?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
But I mean, when he starts comparing himself to the other guys, and it doesn't feel as far.
Right.
So he's one that says he doesn't throw that far, but he throws plenty far.
Do you practice during the off season? Do you try to get more distance now, or are you okay with where you are and you're just trying for control and putting?
I mean, I'd probably want the same amount of distance with more control if possible. But I mean, just playing less, I get more distance in the winter. Just letting the muscles recuperate and all that stuff. So instantly, I'll get more distance. But if I can get quicker and stuff like that, that's going to add more distance. But then I'll have to readjust the timing to a little bit quicker throw. So I mean, there are ways to work on it, but it's not my sole focus.
It's not a focus. Okay. Yeah. Cool. That's it for me. I'm happy.
Me too.
And I really appreciate you. Like 40 minutes ago when I said wrap it up, you have one last thing to say. You said watch, because that's exactly what I want people to do, and that's how we're going to grow the sport. Perfect. So everybody out there, Paul McBeth says watch and grow the sport. Thank you, Paul. And after the break, we're going to come back with Dixon. We're going to do a 2 versus the field, and then we're going to discuss some rules and what they should be. So thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Steve.
Have a great day.
Thanks, you as well.
And where did Dixon run off to? We'll be right back.
What are you on a live commercial?
Coming in from the bleachers.
Coming in from the nearest chair.
Enjoying the video?
Yeah, man. It's fantastic.
It's amazing. We'll take a quick walk. It looked like you're coming in from the dugout.
Ready. So he's the starter and I'm the reliever, is that what you're saying?
I guess so, yeah. Let's see if Dixon can close it out.
Am I coming in for a save, or did the reliever or did the starter get roughed up?
No, we're way ahead. We're way ahead.
I'm coming in trying to get some innings out of the bullpen.
This is Dixon Jowers. He's
Hey, we're starting already?
Oh, we're going. Oh, you okay?
Yep. That's Christopher.
So this angle, it looks like you're bigger than me, but
Well, it's because I am bigger than you. I mean,
so
our shoulders are touching. I mean, like,
I'm 50 now,
right?
And I go to the doctor, and he tells me, he says, we need to try to get your he says your BMI is creeping up.
Okay.
So in college, I swear I was 5'8".
Okay.
And now I'm under 5'7".
Okay.
Even if I maintained my weight, my BMI would be going up.
Right.
That's not fair. I mean, I have the exact same bones.
I mean, you're gonna have to talk to your genetics. You're gonna have to talk to aging. I mean, there's
I'm literally shorter, so I should be losing weight. No,
you're more dense.
I'm.
In all manners of
So
speaking.
many people just hit the like button on the YouTube
It's
video.
just scientifically proven that you're more dense than you used to be.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
So anyway, I thought that was entertaining when the BMI index went up. I gained 1 pound in my BMI index. I mean, it goes up a little bit.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That's how math works.
I love the concept. Speaking of math.
Okay.
So I want to do two things with you.
All right.
I want to do a 2 versus the field.
All right.
And we could go back and forth on that. And then I'd also like to discuss. You put out a great video on fake PDGA, or somebody put out a fake. I saw the video on fake PDGA.
No, I put it out on my podcast,
You-
and then Fake PDJ picked it up and put it out on there.
So I get all my news from fake PDGA.
Okay.
That's how I learn.
Quality source.
But you had an insight for Ricky on how to avoid foot faulting. So we should talk about that, and then talk about how we should score foot faulting.
Okay.
So those are the two topics,
All right. That was
And-
3 topics. 2 versus the field.
and then
Avoiding foot
foot faulting.
Okay. And then
We don't. If you want to know how to avoid foot faulting, I'm going to just say watch the video.
All right. Okay. That's
And
fair.
The name of your podcast is
On
Pro
the
Tour
Box
Talk
with
with
Dixon
Steve
Jowers.
Dodge.
Well, they're already here, so they
Okay.
know that.
I know this one.
Okay.
Okay, great. So 2 versus the field.
All right.
San Francisco Open, brand new course. Everybody out there is saying it feels like a very long course. It's actually 1,000 feet shorter than GBO.
Okay.
But there's some serious elevation here.
Yes.
Why don't you pick 2 people, and I'm going to say whether I would take those 2 people or the field.
It's going to be hard. I mean, I was looking through everything. I mean, it's going to be hard to pick any 2 people on this course. I mean, so like obviously, I would say, well, Rick and Paul. They're the two highest rated players.
Yeah.
So, but here's what I think is going to be necessary to win. I just got done playing an hour or so ago, and it is a big course, but on several of the holes I was playing, massive distance doesn't get you that extra stroke.
Right.
If you're able to get 400, you can still get to the basket. The 500 guy has a shorter, but it's not like if he can throw 500 that he's all of a sudden putting.
Right.
It's not that type of course. You're gonna have to be able to manage your angles very well. You're gonna have to know where you want to be. There's a couple of holes out here that are absolutely sucker birdies. If you go for it, there's only trouble that's going to happen.
Interesting.
There's
Name a couple of those.
I've only played it once. So hole, it's on the front 9, 5, 6, 7. It's like 430.
5's the big down one.
It's
6
after that.
6 is the one coming out of the woods, and Paul was saying it's surrounded by bunkers.
Okay, is that the one where you have the tunnel and then you come out? Okay,
yeah.
That one's just a very difficult 3.
Right.
No matter how you slice the cake, there's a couple of different routes you can take off the box, but there's no way to just get massive distance on that drive. So you're going to have a long shot into the green. that one, if you get a 3 there, you played a fantastic hole to do that. I think it's the next one. It's like 440, going to the right. You're standing right on an OB line of trees pretty much.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The way that the trees protect the basket, unless you have a 450
That's
foot
the Mando
flick,
hole, right? Like you're going,
the Mando's like right off the bottom.
Absolutely.
Unless you have a 450 foot flick, or you can throw a great long distance touch roller, if such a thing exists.
That doesn't go off to the right too much.
Yeah, not too. I mean, it's just such a hole where you have to stand on the box and say, I'm going to play for my 3, and I'm going to give up the stroke to the 4 people that are going to do it this round.
Right.
Maybe not even.
And
that
I'm going to
many.
gain a stroke in the 10 people
on,
that are not.
on everybody that's like, I'm just going to smash a turnover here and be great. Because, I mean, you have to get even with the basket to putt at it. There's this giant line of, there's a line of giant trees, 4 or 5 trees that are blocking you from the box.
Absolutely.
It's just a really, really difficult green. And if you go for it, pretty much only trouble is going to happen. Even for this level of golfer, if you go for it, that's bad stuff.
In addition to being a relatively long course and having a lot of bunkers and greens that you have to avoid in OB, you've got to play smart as well.
Yes, and that might be the first thing.
Right.
Like it has to be so far up their list. And here's one thing I noticed out here. There would be a shot, you stand on the tee box and you think, okay, I need to, it's a downhill hole. Okay, I need to throw over that green. In between the green and the tree would be a good place to land. And you smash a drive and you're like, okay, that's going there. And you land 300 feet short of there. And you're like, oh, okay.
Okay.
These trees, some of these trees are massive.
These are Jonesboro-esque around at the trunk.
Oh, but so much taller. So much taller than Jonesboro, I feel like. And so what it ends up doing is your depth perception is off on so many things. If somebody hasn't come out here and practiced, they're dead.
Oh no, yeah,
they're dead.
Absolutely.
You have to know because on the second par 5, the second 1,000-footer, I threw a drive that I thought was really good, and it was short of where I thought I was going to land.
Right.
I threw a second shot that was pretty good, short of where I was going to land. So as I got that third shot into the green, I'm thinking I need to really goose this, and I throw a fairway driver, and I get on it, and I hit a tree that stopped me about 90 feet deep of the hole. If I hadn't hit the tree,
past the hole?
Yes, because my depth perception was all thrown off because I threw 2 shots, and I'm like, I got to really get on these things, and so I got on the last one. And the tree saved me from going way OB, not a little. I mean, like 100 feet OB. And I wouldn't have now. If I went to play that again, I would know. Okay, you need to throw your slammer or some sort of approach disc on that third shot. So I mean, you've got to have that experience on the course, or you're toast out here. Here's the other thing is that it hasn't been in the ground long enough for there to be some 950 local that just kills out here.
For sure. There's not.
I was just talking to Jamie Thomas. It's been in the ground for just a little bit less than a year.
Right.
The Kickstarter backers got to play it for about a month before everybody else, but it opened up right at the end of May last year. And they've had, he said, a couple of C tiers. No big events. Probably none of the guys. I think I counted yesterday that there was 20-something guys above 1020. I doubt any of those guys have played it before this week.
Absolutely.
Any of the guys that we would say they have a chance of winning on any given weekend, none of them, I bet, have played anything competitive out here
until
today,
tomorrow, Friday.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even just coming out here now, it's going to be the guy that is extremely skilled and the guy that knows, okay, this isn't just rip it and rip it as much as it feels like it should be. This isn't kind of your typical golf course. So I love that about it.
The 2 versus the field kind of agree. Ricky and Paul would be your obvious picks. Is there somebody else you'd throw into that batch?
So I was trying to find 2 other guys. I don't know if I would do 2 versus the field with these 2 guys, but just 2 other guys who might be able to do that. Nate Doss, because I think of him as an experienced golfer, not just a disc thrower. He knows how to manage a course. And in that same vein, Bradley Williams, he knows how to manage a course very well.
Okay.
Bradley is putting so much thought into every shot and angle of how the throw wants to go, how he wants his disc to land, all that sort of stuff. So I think he's going to be able to at least see the course right. But with this course, you've got to think it right, and then you've got to do it right. If you do one or the other, and if you only do one of them, you're not good. Yeah. So just because you can think, I mean, right? Those who don't teach, that's what they always say, right? So you can come out here, and I can say, hey, well, I need to throw a 400-foot turnover and land in that spot. Well, then I've got to do it is the problem.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's going to take. I think whoever wins, we're going to be supremely impressed with how they manage the course.
So the one name that I would throw in there as well as Eagle, just because he's playing so well, his confidence is up. He clearly has a good head on his shoulders. So I would throw Eagle in that mix.
I mean, the only thing I would worry about there is kind of the gunslinger mentality of, I'm not really sure. I'm just going to blast this thing because I think that's going to get whoever, not just Eagle, that's going to get whoever in trouble. You've got to protect your way to the basket on all of these holes.
So I saw him out here yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I saw him out here today. I suspect he'll be out here again tomorrow. I think that he will know this course and where he can attack and where he cannot attack.
Yeah, I saw him and Oakley out here playing around. Yeah, they were about halfway through when I was getting done.
Yeah. So and I'll go and just say, and this can be the wrap up of our segment. And I don't know who I would take, Ricky and Paul versus the field. I think I would take Ricky and Paul.
See, I mean, at other events, and there's other events where I'm like, you're stupid if you don't take Ricky and Paul. I think that's what I told you last time. But I mean, I just think this one is such a toss up. I mean, playing the odds, I would have to go with them because you don't win as many tournaments as they have.
You already owe me one dinner. Are you willing to take the other side and go for 2 dinners?
That somebody besides them wins?
Yeah.
Jeez. I mean, this is just this. I think this course is going to be a fantastic test for all of these guys. I think we'll probably see somebody that's really good average like 980. I mean, like it's that sort of course.
Wow.
That there's going to be really good golfers who are made to look silly out here.
So someone who's in the top 10 in Pro Tour points, you think is going to have a sub 1,000 rated round?
Oh, for sure.
I'll take that bet.
Okay. Just one of the 3 rounds of the tournament?
Yep.
So there's 30 rounds and there only has to be one 999? Yep. Oh, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely on that. Okay.
That's easy.
Deal. All right. Yeah,
okay.
Fine. All right. Okay. I'll start looking.
Are you going to take the other? You going to take the other side of the 2 versus the field? I just gave you a free dinner.
I know you did. Yeah, I guess I'm playing with house money now, so sure. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'll take the other side.
All right. So you have an opportunity. You're down 1 dinner. You have an opportunity to go up
right.
Or down 3. Down 3 would be a day. We do breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
All right.
Where you just treat me.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. And we could do it like at 10, noon, and 2, so we get it all done real quick.
Roll us off at the dinner table at 2 o'clock.
So Denny's back in the 90s had if it's your birthday, you eat free.
Okay.
My roommate and I had the same birthday. So we hit Denny's for breakfast and then pre-lunch and then post-lunch and then pre-dinner and post-dinner. We had 5 meals at Denny's in that one day. At different Denny's. You can't do the same Denny's. So we had 5 different Denny's.
Who paid for your doctor visit after that? or your Sam's?
I was in college. I could eat cardboard.
Your Sam's Club size of toilet paper that you had to have after that.
It was definitely fine and good. So we just have a few minutes here. Okay. I want to wrap this up with the Ricky Wysocki demonstrated to us that there's a potential error in the footfall rule.
Right.
In my opinion, Ricky should have scored a 4 on that hole. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Dixon will give you a quick review of what happened.
Hole 15, round 3 at the De La Disc Golf, or excuse me, the De La Ball Golf Course. Yeah. He was called for a foot fault, seconded by his group, right when the disc was coming out of his hand. So all of that happened according to Hoyle.
And that's a 1-stroke penalty
for the foot fault, correct? Yeah. Or stance violation, I think is what it's called in the new book. And then that throw landed in a hazard area.
That's a 1-stroke penalty also.
Yes.
Okay.
Now the way that the rules are currently written.
And then he hit the putt.
Yes.
So 2 throws.
2 throws and 2 penalties on the hole.
Or were there?
Okay. Well, there were.
Okay.
Yes. There were. But according to the rule book, you can't be penalized twice on the same throw. So even though it was written down as a 4, it should not have been a 4. And even the PDJ has posted, yes, he should have scored a 3 on that hole. Right. But since it was, since this was kind of realized after the fact, after the awards, it's done. Yeah. And it doesn't make a difference to the final score.
Right.
Anyways.
Once the scores are posted, can't change it. That's the end of that.
And it wouldn't have changed if he won or lost the tournament anyways.
Correct. Well, you don't know that, but.
Well, I mean, if you were after the fact going to go back and change the scores, it wouldn't have mattered.
With how they played it out.
Correct.
But you don't know how anybody would play if.
Right. I'm saying, yeah. If he had only. Well, I mean, if he had only gotten a 3 at that point, it would have put more pressure on everybody else instead of less.
And maybe that's what they needed.
Possibly.
because they were afraid they could have caught Ricky too easily.
Because it was just so much so much freedom on everybody that they just decided to throw OB
Yeah.
instead of win.
If I only knew I was under pressure.
Right.
So maybe that's what they needed. So the question that I have, and we talked about this a little last night, and that's why I wanted to bring it up here. The question that I have is, it feels to me like he should go ahead and get the foot fault doesn't affect the hazard.
Right.
Like we talked about a situation where it might make sense, which is if you miss a Mando and go OB. Yeah, the first thing that happens, the missing the Mando should take precedence, and the OB doesn't matter.
Right.
So like that makes sense. But if you do a foot fault and you miss a Mando, it feels like the foot fault should just be a +1 no matter what else is going on. Does that seem correct?
Yeah. So you would say that 4 is the appropriate score, not the right score according to the rule book, but you would say that's the appropriate score. That's what should have happened.
The way that I would word it is, I would say the rule book is wrong.
Right.
But by definition, the rule book cannot be wrong.
Correct.
So there's a contradiction there.
Yes. So you would just add that you can't be penalized twice on a hole, or for one, you can't be penalized twice on one throw, except with a foot fault.
Unless it's a foot.
Okay. Right. And reality is, I mean, I think you could get backing on that.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not sure anybody would say, no, that's just a dumb idea. So I mean, it's not your dumbest idea. It may be one of your best ideas.
I was going to say, it's not that the bar is so low on my dumbest idea.
I was choosing my words carefully.
Jenny hears dumb ideas from me pretty much every hour.
Yeah, I think we all do.
Yeah,
maybe not every hour, but I mean, we've heard them before.
We all do. That's it. What did you the Homer Simpson superhero character?
Max Power.
Max Power, right?
There's the right way, the wrong way, and the Max Power way. The Max Power way is the wrong way, but faster.
Faster,
right?
Yes. Jenny, I told Jenny that, and she agreed. That is me. So I'll close by saying Triple Disc was the CD brokerage that I started right after college, and we had a motto for the first 3 or 4 years in business until a guy came on who started doing QA. But our motto was, we do it right because we do it twice.
Okay. Well, that's one way to look at it, right?
So we
measure twice, cut once. It's kind of the opposite of that.
Yeah, I would say I've
twice.
cut this board 3 times and it's still too short.
Well, that's the better way to do it. Right?
Don't measure at all. Just go.
Sure.
All right. So thank you, Dixon. Do you have any last words?
I'm really looking forward to this. I think that, I mean, not only the vista is incredible out here. I mean, there's some places on this course where you stop and you just marvel at everything that's around. So I mean, I think the setting is going to be fantastic, and I think this is a challenge, kind of unlike a lot of the other courses that are on the National Tour and the Pro Tour. So I mean, we don't usually come across something new of this high of quality.
Right.
So I mean, I'm just really looking forward to see how everybody plays it, because I know there's some people that were out there, even as I was talking to them while I was playing, that were like, "Ugh, this hole," because it was already in their head. It was already
beating them
before they they even pick up a card to keep a score. It's in their head already.
So kudos to Sean Jack. It looks like he's got a lot of great staff helping him out. Corey Morrell from Central Coast has been doing a lot of video work. Got some great trailers out there. This is going to be. I think it's going to be a great show. I think we're going to get a great number of people coming out to watch and get ready.
Well, and one last thing.
Nope, I just closed it out.
This rail right behind us. I hear that this is called the
Zuka Zone.
No, the Legend of Heckler's Ridge.
Wait, that's not the Zuka Zone?
It might be, normally speaking.
Oh, okay.
Before Zuka shows up, and all of the local all of the local ball golfers will hang on this rail and talk trash to everybody coming up the 18th hole.
Wow, that's great.
So, like, I'm just curious. I mean, I don't think they're going to be doing that during the round, but that would be such an interesting. It's kind of like when the Ryder Cup is in America. It's not the button-down ball golf that it normally is. I mean, it's like when Happy Gilmore plays. I mean, there's just a lot of activity going on. So I'm curious if that's going to happen here.
Legend of Heckler's Ridge.
Yeah, that's what I heard that this is called right here.
Now, first of all, there's only a 9-hole course, they told me. So that's on 9 that they're coming up.
Yeah.
So
or the final hole.
Yeah.
But
I just noticed that you made an error, and I wanted to point it out.
Yeah.
Because I think that's only the 23rd time.
I mean, that seems like an error right there.
So I think with that, we're ready to go find Sean Jack and do some tee time selections. Right. So I'm going to carry this thing around with me until we find Sean Jack. And we're going to give you guys, as Jamin Thomas would say during the La Mirada Open, we're going to give you guys some bonus footage of the course. Where's Sean Jack right there?
I don't know. Right here. Can't find the guy.
Are you ready to do some tee time selection?
Sean, help.
Sean, with what?
Are you live?
Yeah.
Are you really?
It's a tee time selection show.
Hey guys.
Here we go. This is tournament director Sean Jack. And Sean, we have been having a great time talking about how prepared you are with everything that you do. Isn't this is just so good?
It's a great moment for you to say that.
Oh no, why?
Because I have to do a little bit of computer work.
All right.
Before we can get the Tee Time show rolling.
So I don't know if we should pause this and do a separate Tee Time show. Does that make sense?
I think that makes sense.
Okay.
How many fans do we have out there? 4,030.
This doesn't say.
Or just 32?
Just two. It looks like just two.
Oh, okay.
Just us two. I know my mom's watching.
Nice.
And she has it on 4 different computers.
Oh, okay.
Just to boost the
unique
numbers.
IP.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, so we're going to close this out, and we'll start another one on the Pro Tour channel in probably about 10 to 15 minutes. There's James Conrad over there. Hello, everybody. I'm just going to show everybody the course real quick. But this is what they call the legend of Heckler's Ridge. And this is going to be a great day, a great weekend, great tournament. You want to say goodnight, Dixon?
Good night, Dixon.